Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Eliana Aaron. It is April 18th, 2020, day 58 of the coronavirus outbreak in Israel. And I am going to talk to you today about some of the updates. As you probably know, Israel has loosened up a few of the restrictions that we've had because the government feels quite secure that we are now in a downturn, and that if people maintain the high level, and it's still quite a high level of restriction for social distancing, then we can continue that downward curve and still keep everybody safe. So it gives us the opportunity to be able to do more things, but at the same time to protect our population. So that's a really important thing for us to be doing. So the general numbers for today, I'm going to share that with you. The general numbers for today, we're at 13,265 cases with 283 new cases, which is a relatively low number. We'll go through that number together. And basically what this chart is showing us is that it's taking us somewhere along the lines of 16 days, a little over 16 days to double our numbers, which is a really flat curve. You could see this curve, it's not going anywhere. If we were walking up a hill like that, we wouldn't be too out of breath. Going into the epidemiology curve, you can see here, I'll make it a little bit bigger for you, but you can see here basically that we are still on this downward trend, and this represents new cases per day. And you can see here that we're staying below the 300s at this point. Let's hope it stays that way, and let's hope it gets even further down. Now this is a new thing that we're monitoring now, which is the critical cases. About the active cases right now that are critical versus the deaths. The numbers that the government were looking at in terms of giving us a real sense of optimism was the number of people on ventilators. So you can see here that the number of people on ventilators today is 118. That includes 4 people who were on ventilators before they got sick. These are old people who were in old age homes on ventilators, and they got coronavirus, so they're counted as being on ventilators, but they were on ventilators before, so I'm not sure that's a valid thing to count, but okay. What you can see here is that over the last week, we've had a real stabilization of the number of people that are on ventilators, and that the number, it appears to be in a downward trend now. We are going to track this very carefully, and that's really important. And the critical cases follow that because they're very close together. You can see everyone on a ventilator is considered critical, and you can see that the trend does follow. So the number of ventilator cases and the critical cases are pretty similar, and they just sort of follow each other. But this is on a downward turn, and it has definitely flattened and stabilized over the last few days, even a week. The new cases you could see is on a very good, nice, sharp curve. We like that, downward. And of course, right now, we are at 2.1% for the growth for today, which is really good. We want to see very low percentages of new patients. And if you recall the charts I showed you for Switzerland, Switzerland it was pretty flat, and then this chart started curving downward in terms of the number of recovered people. We're at about 25% of recovered people. So if you look at the total number of people who had this virus, when we look at case resolution, the blue represents the active cases. So we currently have 9,600 active cases, and a quarter of all the cases are now recovered, which is great. Our mortality rate is 1.2% right now, and that represents this little yellow band right there in the middle. Another bunch of numbers came out for the cities. I'm seeing every 2 days they're coming out with numbers so we can look. The cities that are currently concerning to us it's still Beitar Illit, which is not really a city, but it's a large town, and they still have over 50% growth in the last week. Beit Shemesh is at about 40%, so that's also concerning. And Modi'in Illit, Ashdod, and Jerusalem are all at about 30 to 40% range. So these are areas that that we are still really looking at. Quite a few of these towns have excellent control, and we're not seeing significant growth in a lot of these places, and we want to see that continuing as well. So in terms of what's going on here in Israel, if we're able to keep to the restrictions that we have, and to maintain them and to keep these numbers tamped down as much as possible, then what we're going to have is a continuing lowering of the restrictions that we have. The government was very clear, though. The Prime Minister is very clear. If we can't keep to the rules, okay, so they're giving us a finger and we take a hand. They give us a hand and we take an arm. If we keep doing that, then we're going to end up going backward and becoming more strict. So I think it's very important that we sort of prove ourselves that we're going to respect the rules as they are. And I think that if we do, and we're able to show that we're continuing in this wonderful trend that we're in, which is things are getting better, we're going to end up in a place where a lot of the restrictions that are impeding our lives are going to be alleviated. So I hope everyone stays healthy, stays safe, and stays home. And tomorrow we should have more confirmed details when these rules are ratified by the government, so that we could know exactly how to implement these changes. Take care.